Miyamoto Musashi must prove himself beyond measure.
Onimusha Way of the Sword brings Capcom's classic samurai franchise out of cold storage, skipping the safe modern Souls-like trend to give us a real, honest-to-God action adventure. You step right back into the shoes of a demon-slaying warrior who relies on split-second parries, aggressive swordplay, and absorbing the souls of dead monsters to power up elemental weapons. Instead of punishing you with agonizing stamina meters or lost experience points, the combat focuses entirely on flow, swagger, and precise execution. Pulling off a perfect Isen counter where you slice through a giant demon right before its attack lands delivers a hit of dopamine that modern action games rarely capture anymore. Capcom rebuilt the presentation from scratch on the RE engine. The bloody, feudal Japanese environments and terrifying demon designs look shockingly gorgeous without losing that tight, punchy arcade pacing. The level design sticks to focused, interconnected zones full of hidden paths, environmental puzzles, and massive boss encounters that demand you actually learn enemy attack patterns rather than just grinding out stats. It respects your time, moves at a blistering pace, and reminds everyone why fixed-style linear action games were so incredible in the first place. You're not wandering around an empty open map for hours hunting for collectibles. You're moving room to room, executing immaculate blade techniques, and harvesting glowing floating orb rewards like a total badass. It proves that classic design philosophies, when given top-tier modern polish, still hit harder than almost anything else on the market.
On the field. Then, let the battle commence.
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave takes intelligent tactics and turns up the dramatic heat by dropping players directly into the brutal Dagdan Empire. Instead of guiding a single chosen hero on a straightforward quest, you get to choose between 4 distinct protagonists, each entering a deadly gladiator-style tournament where the ultimate prize is a single granted wish. That multi-route setup means every decision feels heavy, as you watch characters you care about clash on grid-based battlefields with real consequences. The combat brings back beloved mechanics like combat arts, gambits, and weapon durability, but spices things up with high-risk blaze arts that drain your own unit's health instead of destroying their gear. Between life-or-death tactical skirmishes, you retreat to a central hub city to manage your team, share meals, train up stats, and even venture out into treacherous dungeon crawls for extra loot. The relationship building is just as crucial as your positioning on the battlefield, because a well-bonded squad will cover each other's backs when an enemy commander tries to flank your line. The tactical depth rewards, careful planning, punishing you immediately if you leave a squishy archer out in the open or miscalculate an enemy's movement range. Visually, the vibrant character designs and flashy battle animations make every back-and-forth counterattack look like a high-budget anime climax. It hits all the right strategic notes while delivering enough narrative twists to make you immediately start a second playthrough the second the end credits roll. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight swaps out the franchise's massive roster of hundreds of background characters to focus on a tight, heavily refined group of 7 Gotham icons. By trimming down the playable heroes, the developers overhauled the gameplay, taking clear inspiration from the legendary Arkham series to give us actual fluid combo-heavy combat. You're not just mashing a single button to shatter plastic blocks anymore, you're countering thugs, throwing batarangs mid-combo, and using specialized gadgets like Catwoman's whip or Jim Gordon's foam sprayer to control the crowd. Built in Unreal Engine 5, this open-world Gotham City looks absurdly detailed, blending gloomy atmospheric rain, slicked streets with brilliant toy-like plastic textures. Traveling across the city feels fantastic, whether you're gliding off skyscrapers or tearing through alleyways in the Batmobile. The story takes you through Bruce Wayne's entire arc, from his early training days to fighting off iconic villains like the Joker, Bane, and Poison Ivy in brick form. It keeps the signature slapstick LEGO humor fully intact, poking loving fun at dark superhero tropes while still respecting the source material. The puzzle design encourages active swapping between character skill sets, making local co-op play feel genuinely cooperative rather than just having a second player tag along. It proves that smaller rosters and deeper mechanics can elevate a casual building block game into a legitimately great action-adventure experience. Moonlighter 2. The Endless Vault takes the brilliant dungeon crawler by night, shopkeeper by day gameplay from the first game, and leaps directly into full 3D, creating a roguelike that is virtually impossible to put down. You play as Will, who gets stranded in a strange new village and has to rebuild his business from scratch by diving into shifting interdimensional vaults. The shift to an isometric 3D perspective completely changes combat, making dodging, positional spacing, and swinging heavy weapons feel vastly more dynamic and responsive, but the true addiction still lies in the retail management side of things. You drag your hard-earned loot back to town, set your prices, and watch customers react in real time, marking up rare artifacts just enough to maximize profits without accidentally driving your shoppers away angry. Inventory space becomes its own puzzle game because certain relics trigger powerful combat buffs when placed next to specific items in your backpack, forcing you to choose between maximum dungeon survival or maximum shop profit. Upgrading the town feels deeply rewarding as new merchants move in, offering better gear, potions, and shop decorations that directly boost your daily earnings. It strikes a legendary balance where every dungeon run feeds your financial growth, and every upgrade makes your next run feel smoother. Digital Sun managed to fix the original's combat repetitive stiffness while expanding the cozy, greedy joys of running a fantasy storefront, making this an easy contender for one of the most satisfying gameplay mechanics around.
The House of Han is on its knees. It no longer has the power to unite the nation.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty Complete Edition packages Team Ninja's fast-paced dark fantasy epic into the absolute definitive blood-soaked experience it was always meant to be. Set in a demon-plagued version of the Three Kingdoms era, the game replaces heavy blocking and turtle tactics with a relentlessly aggressive deflect system that rewards you for getting right in a boss's face. The morale system keeps every mission tense. If you charge into a battle blindly without building up your combat rank, a random grunt can instantly send you back to the checkpoint flag. This edition bundles the base campaign with all 3 expansive DLC chapters, packing the roster full of terrifying new demon bosses, additional weapon categories like long-range whips and massive Tai Chi swords, and an absurd amount of endgame gear customization. Switching seamlessly between martial arts strikes, elemental wizardry spells, and instant parries creates a rhythmic dance of death that feels intoxicating once you get the timing down. The story goes off the rails in the best way possible, blending historical legends with grotesque body horror and legendary hero team-ups. While the initial learning curve feels like slamming your head into a brick wall, mastering the deflection windows turns you into an unstoppable martial arts force. It is brutal, flashy, hyper-demanding, and contains enough high-octane combat content to keep action junkies hooked for well over 100 hours without running out of steam.
Greatest roster of heroes and villains to ever clash. Are you ready for one
My
last
Hero
match?
Academia All's Justice drops the slow burn UA high school drama and throws you headfirst into the chaotic, world-shaking battles of the series' Final War arc. This 3D arena fighter gives the roster a massive upgrade, letting you control heroes and villains in their ultimate, fully unleashed states. The combat system has been overhauled to focus heavily on team synergy, environmental destruction, and quirk mechanics that accurately reflect the sheer scale of the anime's destruction. Deku moves with frantic aerial mobility, while All for One literally reshapes the arena around you, making every 3v3 match feel like a high-budget animated spectacle. Instead of feeling like a generic button masher, the game introduces a refined counter and assist meter system that rewards smart assist calls and precise defense over mindless combos. The story mode covers the dramatic clashes between Class 1A and the League of Villains, with cinematic cutscenes and intense multi-phase boss fights that capture the emotional weight of the series' climax. Visually, the cell shading pops off the screen, with massive super attacks tearing up the ground and leaving craters in the surrounding buildings. Whether you're setting up intricate traps with villain abilities or pulling off clutch last-second comebacks with plus ultra finishers, it delivers pure fan service wrapped in a genuinely thrilling arena fighter framework. NBA 2K27 continues the annual tradition of delivering insanely polished, hyper-realistic basketball right alongside a visual layout that constantly nudges you towards spending extra cash. On the court, the engine feels smoother than ever, with animations blending seamlessly as you drive to the rim, work the post, or attempt to break ankles on the perimeter. The player physics have been fine-tuned so heavy, big men actually feel like immovable brick walls, while agile guards can slide through tiny gaps in the defense with incredible precision. But step outside the stadium lights into the flagship career modes, and you're immediately greeted by the familiar grind designed to test your patience and your virtual wallet. Raising your custom player's attributes still takes a ridiculous amount of grinding unless you surrender to buying currency, turning the journey from benchwarmer to superstar into a full-time job. Meanwhile, classic modes like franchise management remain ridiculously deep, letting you run front offices, tweak salary caps, and draft generations of future Hall of Famers with unmatched detail. The presentation is so close to a live television broadcast that anyone walking past your screen will genuinely think you're watching a real game on a Sunday afternoon. If you can ignore the aggressive monetization pushing you at every menu turn, the core basketball gameplay remains undisputed king of the hardwood. It is brilliant, frustrating, visually stunning, and undeniably addictive all at once. Trails in the Sky second chapter takes one of the most beloved Japanese role-playing stories ever told and rebuilds it from the ground up with stunning modern visuals. Picking up right after the emotional gut punch ending of the first chapter, you follow Estelle Bright on a continent-spanning journey to track down her missing partner and unravel a massive political conspiracy. The remake replaces the classic sprite-based artwork with fully rendered 3D environments, bringing the Kingdom of Liberal to life with dynamic lighting, sprawling towns, and seamless camera control. The combat system gets a massive upgrade too, blending classic turn-based timeline manipulation with slick, real-time action elements that let you clear out weak-field enemies instantly without wasting time. Character interactions remain the absolute crown jewel of the experience, as even the most minor NPC in a random village has their own evolving storyline that changes after every major plot event. The magical arts and crafts battle mechanics demand real strategic thought, forcing you to manipulate the turn order to snatch up critical buffs before a boss unleashes a devastating ultimate attack. The soundtrack has been beautifully rearranged, matching the high emotional stakes of every story beat and intense boss showdown. It is a masterclass in how to modernize a classic RPG without stripping away the soul, charm, and incredible world building that made fans fall in love with it in the first place. RuneScape Dragonwilds breaks away from the classic point-and-click browser MMORPG layout and drops players into a fully realized open-world survival experience. Set in the untamed wilderness of Ashenfall, you start with practically nothing and have to chop down trees, mine copper, and build a base just to survive the harsh environment. But instead of feeling like a generic crafting clone, every single action feeds directly into RuneScape's iconic skill progression system. You level up cooking, woodcutting, smithing, and magic organically just by using those abilities out in the wild, delivering that classic dopamine hit every time a skill bar ticks upward. The world is crawling with aggressive wildlife, corrupt magic anomalies, and roaming dragon bosses that will gladly level your wooden starter home if you are not careful. Combat blends real-time action dodging with elemental spellcasting and melee weapon arts, making encounters feel active and dangerous. Building up a thriving settlement with friends, setting up automated resource traps, and crafting high-tier rune armor gives a tremendous sense of long-term accomplishment. Visually, it captures the colorful, slightly stylized aesthetic of Gielinor, while delivering modern lighting, massive view distances, and seamless exploration. It takes the nostalgic heart of a legendary online universe and successfully translates it into a modern, hands-on survival sandbox that easily eats up entire weekends. Orbitals pulls off a trick that sounds simple on paper but breaks your brain once you actually sit down with a controller. You and a buddy are operating in zero gravity, linked together by this dynamic energy tether, and every single puzzle demands that you master momentum, timing, and genuine teamwork instead of just screaming at each other when someone misses a jump. Most co-op games let one skilled player essentially carry the team while the second player tag-alongs and opens doors. But here, if your partner panics and flings themselves into a gravity, well, you're both going down like a sack of rocks. The real magic comes from how the gravity mechanics twist your perspective. What feels like a safe landing strip suddenly becomes a massive wall the moment your center of mass shifts. It hits that absolute sweet spot between hilarious chaotic failure and incredible high-five moments when a complex maneuver actually clicks. You spend half your time arguing over simple trajectories and the other half pulling off insane slingshot moves around orbiting debris that make you feel like absolute NASA geniuses. The physics engine is tight enough to reward genuine skill, but loose enough that minor miscalculations lead to spectacular cosmic pileups. Visually, it carries this clean, vibrant retro sci-fi aesthetic that keeps the screen readable even when objects are spinning in 3 different axes at once. It is fundamentally built to test your friendships, blow out your vocal cords, and deliver the kind of pure couch co-op magic that feels entirely too rare these days.
Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, please leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to get notified when we release new content. We hope to see you in the next video.